Darius Benta coming back to you with another Mr. Nightmare video, and today we are going to be reacting to 5 disturbing Home Alone horror stories. This one seems pretty good. I'm really excited to do it. I've looked at this one for a minute now, so I'm finally gonna make it happen. Like I said before in my last video, if you guys want to leave down any recommendations in the comment section below, I am literally going to be pinning any comment that I choose to react to. I'm going to be pinning your comment in my videos. I already did it in my last one, and I want to do it again. So I guess without further ado, guys, let's just get it started, and I hope you guys enjoy.
I'm 30 years old, and I share a house with my sister. It's a 2-floor house, a mother-daughter house, meaning it has 2 kitchens. My sister takes the downstairs, I take the upstairs. My sister isn't home a lot because she often stays with her boyfriend who lives 20 miles away. Like I said, I'm 30. I shouldn't let being home alone ever freak me out. But, admittedly, sometimes it does. This happened on a night that I was home alone in my living room watching a scary movie. My part of the house is an open layout, so the living room, dining room, and kitchen are all one big space. My couch is in the middle of the space, so as I watch TV on the couch, my back is to a large part of the room behind me. So for those a little more easily spooked, it wouldn't be the most comfortable place to be sitting alone watching a scary movie. I'll admit, as I watched it,
It's scary enough being home alone by yourself, and on top of being home alone by yourself, you want to watch a scary movie by yourself, which is even more crazy. Like, what? Man, you are crazy. But all right, let's see what happens.
dark room with nothing but the light from the TV to cancel the darkness of the room, I found myself glancing over my shoulder a lot. I like to think I'm not the only 30-year-old male that does that. But anyway, after the movie, I brushed my teeth, turned off all the lights in the house, then went to sleep. My sleep lasted for about 2 hours. I woke up around 1 a.m., and I wasn't sure why I woke up at first. Then I heard a voice downstairs. It sounded like my sister. It sounded like she was inside the house, so it's not like she was calling for me to open the door. But still, I knew it was my sister's voice. I didn't know what she was yelling up to me though, but I was still groggy and not thinking straight. All I could think was that she must have been calling for me, or arguing with her boyfriend. So I got out of bed and went into the pitch black hall. I turned on the hallway lights and then made my way through the living room and heard my sister's voice again from downstairs. Now I could understand her to be saying my name. I made my way downstairs in the dark, yelling back at her, "What is it?" I looked for the light switch in the foyer downstairs, but couldn't find it. I'm not lying when I say I was groggy as hell. I walked down her little hallway towards her kitchen, find a light switch, and flick it on. The light in the kitchen lights up her little apartment, including her living room. The light starts off dim and needs time to brighten up, but I still saw that there was no one down there. Not her, not her boyfriend. I went to her bedroom, but it was empty. I called her name really loudly one time. No one called back, but shortly after I yelled, I heard something drop to the floor in my sister's bedroom, which I had just checked, and it was empty. I went back up the stairs like a little kid and went back to my bed to where my—
Yo, are you serious? Oh, I almost went like that, thinking I had my afro still. Holy smokes! No way. I'm sorry. I'm leaving the house. I'm not staying there. Like me and ghosts do not mix. So if I get any hint of paranormal going on, I am out of there. That is insane, yo. What the heck? Yeah, no, I'm out. I'm out. I'm out.
phone was. I tried to call her a few times, but she didn't pick up. I had myself locked in my room, wondering if I had just hallucinated all of that. Eventually, I fell asleep, and in the morning, I woke up to text from my sister asking why I called her at 1 a.m. I asked her if she was home last night, and she told me no, she was currently staying at her boyfriend's house. I went downstairs to her bedroom to see what may have fallen down on the floor, but there was not a single object on the floor that could have made that noise. I'm led to believe I hallucinated everything I heard that night, but that's what I want to believe, because
You did not hallucinate nothing. You 110% heard and seen what you seen. Do not stay there no more. Get out of there. Leave now. Get out of there.
the alternative would be much more horrific. But I've never really hallucinated anything else or had any kind of sleep disorders. So how vividly I heard my sister's voice and that sound in her room really freaks me out.
If that's the first story, like what the heck? That's insane, man. That's really insane. Also, guys, just to let you know, I'm probably not gonna do all 5 stories because it's gonna be a very long video. So I'll probably do like maybe 2 or 3 of them. With that being said, let's do the next one, story 2.
I was left home alone a lot as a kid, just due to the fact that my mom was single for a good chunk of my upbringing, and she worked as an RN on a crappy RN schedule, and my brother went away to college. This was a night that my mom was working an overnight. It was a weekend night, so I had this girl Molly over who I was talking to, and she hung out for a while. We watched a couple movies and whatnot, and eventually she had to go home because her parents don't like her out late, so I was left alone to hold down the fort. I continued to watch TV in my room and bed. My bedroom is upstairs next to the backyard, so when someone dragged one of the chairs on the deck outside, I heard it. I got up and looked out the window, and I saw someone sitting on one of the deck chairs down below. I called Molly's name thinking it was her. After all, she'd only left under 10 minutes ago. Whoever it was looked up at me, but it wasn't Molly. I immediately pulled away from the window to hide. That was not anybody I recognized. Not in the darkness, at least. I texted a few close friends in our group chat if it was one of them messing with me. The ones who answered all said no, and asked what I was talking about. I didn't really believe any of my friends would come to my house to mess with me like that anyway. Scared shitless, but still curious, I slowly walked back over to the window to look down again, and that person was still sitting in the chair, looking up at my window. It was a he, that much was clear.
That is so creepy. Like, how you gonna go to your back window and just see someone sitting in your property on your chair, just looking back up at you like, "Hi, hello, how you doing?" Like you're supposed to be there. That's sinister. That's not a human being. That is a ghost. That is 100% a ghost.
And he definitely saw me. I hurried away from the window again to turn off the TV. I sat in my bed in a ball basically, with my arms wrapped around my knees. I waited in darkness for a while. I didn't even want to turn my phone screen on because I was scared he'd see the light. I didn't even want to move because the window was opened and I feared that he'd hear any movement I made. I wanted him to assume I was just no longer in the bedroom. I waited enough time. It had to be a solid 5 minutes of just sitting there. I highly doubted that man outside could still be there. I finally mustered up the courage to get up and look out the window. I felt a little part of me die inside when I saw he was still down there, looking up at my window. Instead of running away from the window again, I tried to be brave and said down.
You know, common sense would be to call the police if that man is still standing there after about 15-20 minutes looking up at you. Yeah, that ain't a human being. That is a ghost. Oh my god, man. Like I don't get why people are so clueless. Like, come on. Why am I getting angry? Let's continue on.
Him, what do you want? I then noticed his shoulders started to go up and down as if he were laughing really hard, but he didn't make any kind of audible laughing sounds at first, till I heard a slight whistling sound coming from him. It seemed like he was laughing so hard that he was wheezing. I asked him to please go away, then walked away from the window again. I went back to my bed. I was scared to call the police for some reason. I left my room and sat at the top of the stairway listening. The back door was being pushed. He was trying to get into the house. I ran back to my room to hide again. I was 14, I didn't know what else to do. Eventually I heard the front door's doorknob being fiddled.
And 14 years old, yeah, that makes sense to why. But still, like, come on, common sense. I'm gonna assume a 14-year-old has common sense to call the police. You know? But anyway, let's see.
And the man trying to push the front door open as well. He gave up quickly, thank God. I closed my bedroom window and curtains. If our doors weren't locked, I could have been killed easily. I was skinny and weak when I was 14 and definitely not a fighter. I didn't leave my room again that night until my mom got home around 9. I told her what happened. and her reaction was angry at me for not calling 911, and in hindsight, that was very stupid of me. One of the many things I did, or rather didn't do at a young age, that I question greatly.
Guys, that's insane. Like, imagine that happening to you. I can't imagine, like, some of these stories happening to me. I don't know how I would react, but for example, if somebody was staring up at my window, I went away, 15 minutes later, they're still looking, I'm going to call the cops. You know what I mean? Just common sense. And I think a 14-year-old would have that common sense. But I guess not, you know? That's crazy. But all right, we're probably going to do a couple more. Maybe story 3. Yeah, maybe we'll do a couple more, then I'll call it there because I don't want the video to be too long. But anyway, let's see what this one's about.
This was the story of how I almost died as a young kid home alone, and possibly the most intense night of my life with way too much going on. We're a family of 5. I was 10 at the time. My older brother was 14, my little sister was 5. It was a Friday night. My brother was out with his friends causing trouble clearly, because a dreaded phone call came to my parents. All I remember was I was in my room playing a Star Wars video game when I heard my mom start freaking.
I don't know why, but I thought it was my phone. All right. Sorry, guys. Back to the video.
Crying. I got really scared and hurried to see what was wrong. My mom was on the phone with the hospital, calling to inform my parents that my brother had gotten hit by a car. Obviously, we were all shaken and really scared. My brother's leg was broken, but I don't know what else was said on the phone. All I know is my parents hurried to get their coats on and got my little sister from her room and asked me if I was okay to stay home alone. I said yes, and they hurried out to the car and left. I was of course really worried for my brother, but I really didn't want to go to the hospital and see him in any kind of bad condition. I don't think my parents wanted me or my sister to either, but
that's understandable. I know it's really hard to see a loved one in pain. Like, for example, like when I was a couple years ago, my mother hurt herself pretty bad, and I could not see her in pain. Like, it hurt me so much to see her in pain. Like, I was in tears. So I can only imagine, you know, like I can 100% relate to why he would want to go to the hospital because, like, you know, it's difficult seeing somebody you love in pain. It really is. But let's see what happens.
I want to leave my 5-year-old sister home without them. It's worth mentioning my brother recovered just fine, as his injury is no longer relevant to the story, other than it being the reason why I was left home alone on a Friday night. Before my dad left, he was trying to calm down my mom, telling her he was going to be okay. So seeing my dad like that made me feel better. I had a feeling my mom was just being overdramatic like any mom would be. I continued playing the Star Wars game for a couple more hours when I heard the front door open. I had my bedroom door closed. By this point, it was easily past midnight and past my bedtime, so I turned off the TV and...
So the front door wasn't locked? That's kind of what I'm getting at here. You didn't lock your front door?
Station and crawled into my bed with my Game Boy. I tried listening to hear my parents' voices, maybe hear if my brother was with them or just hear what they were saying, but I didn't hear anything. After a few minutes of not hearing them even come up the stairs, I had a feeling something was wrong. I went to my door and quietly opened it, then walked over to the ledge and banister that overlooked the living room. The lights were off, but there were 3 tall people standing in my living room. They weren't my family. I was so petrified that I was...
Three grown people standing in your living room. Guys, can you see my eye watering? I don't know why every single time I watch scary stuff, my eyes water, but that is creepy. What? Like, any circumstance, I don't know what I would do. Like, I have no idea. I think I would, like, I don't know. I have no idea. But that is scary as heck. Walking downstairs and seeing 3 big giant shadows. Oh my god. Let's see what happens.
For a second, before I could quietly walk back into my room and shut the door as quietly as I could in my trepidation. But it wasn't quiet enough, and I knew it. They had to have heard the door click shut, even if just slightly. I hurried to my closet door, opened it quietly, stepped inside, then shut the door. I had myself sitting behind a bunch of the boxes and bags of clothes that were stuffed in my closet. I was actually pretty covered from view. There was this short period that felt like forever that I was anticipating my bedroom door open, and it did. And at that moment, I knew I was going to die. I heard footsteps walk into the room.
Hold on, guys. Did they say that his 5-year-old sister's home with him? So where's your sister at if she's home with you? That's 5 years old. Alright, guys, I know I paused it at a suspense moment, but let's see what happens.
I couldn't tell how many people. It may have been one, it may have been two. I heard the footsteps move to my bed. Then I heard my covers being played with. Then silence. Then more footsteps towards the closet door. Then silence for a few seconds. And then the closet door opened. My heart was in my throat by this point. All I did was sit quietly and hold my breath. The door was open for a really long time, but I didn't look up. I didn't move. It had to be a good 20 seconds of silence before the door closed again. Footsteps walked away from the door, then out of the room. I finally looked up, and I just realized, from where I was crouched down behind the bags and boxes, I may have been visible to that person. It wasn't until probably an hour that I heard my parents return. I ran downstairs to them. The front door was left ajar by the people who broke in, and they had stolen a number of valuables from our house. It was a night that just went from bad to worse for our family. My parents were in such a rush when they left for the hospital that they apparently didn't even lock the door. I was lucky to have not been killed or kidnapped. I look back now and really wonder if the person who opened the closet and just stood there for 20 seconds saw me hiding in there. Maybe he was just a guy that came to rob a house, not to kidnap or hurt a child. Or maybe he just didn't see me and I just narrowly escaped death or injury.
Guys, he gotta be the most luckiest kid in the world. Like, honestly. I think he was just there to rob the place. I feel like, it wasn't part of his... I feel like, it wasn't part of his job description to hurt any kids, but that's on the parents for not locking the door. Like, honestly, like, that is... I can only imagine. Like, my heart's going boom, 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 boom. Like, that's insane. Wow. But I think I want to stop it here, guys, at story 4. If you guys want to see a part 2, see what happens in story 4, drop down in the comment section below. Let me know. And like I said before, guys, anybody that leaves any recommendations in the comment section, I'm going to be pinning your comment in my next video. Alright, guys, thank you so much for tuning into my videos. I really appreciate it. You guys are my #1 fans, and I love each and every single one of you guys.